secondly is that we are going to plan to play big in the horticulture market. Nigeria is closer to Europe than Kenya, much closer than Tanzania, or even much closer than Mozambique. And so we decided as a government that we are going to actually take advantage of our big size, water, cheap labor in the horticultural market. Of course, as you know, the largest market is in Europe. And so that market is actually quite difficult to penetrate because it's based on a lot of safety standards, consumer standards that we have to meet. So we've been working together with the ambassadors of the European countries to prepare Nigeria to be able to enter that global horticulture market. And as you know, domestically, Mr. President has shown tremendous amount of leadership in encouraging us to move towards this fresh produce export market with Europe. But there are a number of hurdles we have to play. There are ages of certification, there are ages of farm audits, there are ages of contract with supermarkets. And those are some of the things that I was discussing today with the ambassadors. And finally, is the fact that I believe that Europe needs to open up its market for us in terms of value-added exports. So that when we export, we don't want to export raw materials. We want to export value-added products, which means that they need to change the current situation where you pay higher tariff if you export value-added products. So those are some of the things that we discussed. But I think it's a terrific outing. It's great for Nigeria, for Europe to actually recognize the major transformation Mr. President is driving agriculture, and they are ready to work with it. I'm very excited.
Honourable.
Our farmers are really ready.
Our farmers have been ready way back because the issue has to do with how do we open up markets for our farmers. For example, we're talking today about how we can export dry cassava chips to Europe. We have, as a country, in the last 1 year, been able to secure contracts of 3.2 million metric tons of dry cassava chip exports. If we move that to Europe, we can earn $1.3 billion just on that. If we supply that to China, we can earn about $803 million. So obviously, as a Minister of Agriculture, I have a great interest in seeing how we can penetrate that European market. Now, for the horticulture, we are organizing our farmers into groups so that they can actually produce. Because for horticulture, you must produce what the market wants, when it needs, at the quality it needs, and at the price that the market is willing to pay for. So we are organizing our farmers to do that. We are also working to make sure that our farmers get certified. In Europe, you cannot just say, I'm ready to sell. No, you have to be certified. Your farm has to be certified. So we are doing all we can as a government to get our farmers ready for what will be a very huge market opportunity.
How is the ministry
in everything that we do, we work very closely with all the state governments. For example, if you take a look at the growth enhancement scheme, which is the electronic water scheme that we use to reach our farmers with seed and fertilizers, we work with all the state governments. In fact, 36 out of 37 governments are involved, including the FCT. And the results are extraordinary. We are also working with them on investment because, land is not in land is at the state. So my job is to help the state government to succeed in agriculture. We want them to succeed. They can generate a lot more in terms of internally generated revenue when agriculture works. We are also helping to create jobs at the state level. So far, in the last 1 year, we have helped to create 2.5 million jobs in agriculture in each of the states. You look at the dry season rice production within 10 states of northern Nigeria, from Sokoto to Zamfara to Kano to maybe all the states. They benefited about $77 billion naira in terms of returns back to their economy. So we are working with the state, helping the state to succeed. most importantly, creating markets for our farmers.
Quarantine services. What is the linkage to help our vegetable and crops, fruits, working with the EU? I mean, are they able to prepare the farmers to be able to meet the quality standard?
Well, I think the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service is already doing a terrific job. Most Nigerians don't just know that. When you are exporting, whether it's okra or fresh vegetables or things outside of this country, already the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service, which is an agency under my ministry, is the one that actually certifies the farmers, helps them to recognize the amount of residue levels that if you go above that, it will not be allowed in the European market. They are also making sure that the produce actually is free of toxins, because there are certain toxins that you will not be allowed to bring into those countries. So the Nigerian Agricultural Quarantine Service is going to play an even more greater role as we look to export market, in particular for fresh produce. But beyond that, the extension system has to work. And so that's why we are improving the extension system to help our farmers to understand the needs of the market. You know, how much fertilizer can you use? How much pesticides must you use? When must you harvest? And how much of toxins and things like that will be allowed to in your product? So it's about educating our farmers. And the world is changing very rapidly. And Nigeria is not going to be a laggard. Our farmers have to modernize. That's why we are using modern tools, whether it's cell phones, whether it's ways of actually irrigating our crops so that they don't actually get destroyed very quickly. We are modernizing agriculture. The world is changing and we have to modernize.
We have a vast market domestically. There are quite a lot of supermarkets where our farmers can also sell their produce. So why are we not having much of this happening?
Yeah, what is happening with the supermarkets here, I'm very excited about. For example, if you take ShopRite today has started to buy fresh produce from our farmers. I met with ShopRite and I said, well, why are you bringing in produce from South Africa when you can get fresh produce from here? You can buy beef from here. So a lot of that is already happening. But you know, the critical thing is our domestic market is big. 167 million people. They don't drink oil, they eat food. We want them to be eating Nigerian food. Today, if you go to our supermarket, you see well-packaged rice from Nigeria in our supermarket. You see cassava bread made out of our own cassava flour in our supermarket. And we want to also improve the hygienic situation of produce supplied to supermarkets. For example, beef. You know, you can't just cut up beef in an abattoir and just take it to the supermarket. That's why we are building a hygienic cold chain system for beef so that they can supply high quality hygienic beef into the supermarket. The local market is big. Even if you don't do too much of external market, I think the market here is huge enough to carry us forward. It allows you to get renewable energy. The second is ethanol. You know, we are working with the Ministry of Petroleum Resources to put in place the E10 policy that allows you to use 10% ethanol to be mixed with petrol, for vehicles to use petroleum products mixed with ethanol. To advance on that, we are already working to have some ethanol plants coming out of sugarcane and also coming out of cassava. So these are renewable energy sources that we are working on.